back to a game I haven't played before with the first Dragon Quest. This is the mobile remake that got ported to Switch since I bought that South Asia exclusive physical release with the first 3 games on it. My first Dragon Quest was Dragon Quest VIII back in 2009, which I have beat, but it's within the last year I've started to really get into the series as a whole with Dragon Quest XI's and Dragon Quest Builders. I've also played a chunk of Dragon Quest V 10 years ago, and after recording this I've also played through the first Dragon Quest Heroes. That's 4 Dragon Quest games I've beaten in the last year alone. When I start the game I have to name my hero. He isn't given a canon name in-game, but a drama CD and a novelization both give his name as Aleph, so I'll go with that. The game gets right to it. I'm in a conversation with the king of Tantegel. He says he's been waiting for Aleph, the descendant of the legendary hero Erdrick, who once received the Sphere of Light from the goddess and saved the world. But since then a new threat has turned up, the Dragonlord. He's stolen the Sphere of Light, which has covered the world in darkness again, so the king sends me off to deal with it all, letting me take what's in the 3 chests behind me. The chests give me 120 gold coins, a torch and a magic key. The advisor in this room tells me that the king's daughter, Princess Gwaelin, was kidnapped half a year ago. The king doesn't talk about it because it upsets him so much. I use the key to lead the throne room to the rest of the castle. I can talk to everyone, but they're all just miserable about the princess. In one of the pots here I find a medicinal herb. There are some chests on this screen, but they're behind a locked door, so I can't get them yet. I leave to the world map, where the Dragonlord's castle is in sight but out of reach, and go into Tantegel town right next door. First thing I do is equip the bamboo spear I start with. In the inn I find a chimera wing in the drawer. Not too much to say about the NPCs, only 3 stick out right now. One tells me about a bard named Galen who took his lyre to his grave. There's one guy who refuses to believe I'm the Skyline of Erdrick, and one woman who's such a big fan she followed me everywhere until I leave town. In the item shop in the corner I buy a dragon scale for 20G and equip it as an accessory for 5 extra defense points. One building in the upper right corner is locked and my only key was used. In the equipment shop in the top left corner I spend 90G on a leather shield for some more defense before leaving town. Now for some grinding before I set off. The first enemy I face is the she slime, which takes 3 hits to kill right now but only rewards me 2 experience and 4 gold. A couple fights later I face the regular blue iconic slime. It has less HP but rewards less too. After a few fights I reach level 2. Right now I just get minor stat boosts, but I need more. At least I'm capable of killing she slimes in 1 hit now, so things go quicker. 5 minutes later and I've also reached level 3. This teaches me the heal spell for health recovery. There's an old man in the castle who can fully restore my MP for free. Just to be on the safer side I decide to grind a little more, but I let myself risk going further away from town in the hopes of finding some stronger enemies. In the mountains slightly northeast of town I find my first ghost. They still take 2 hits but give me 4 experience and 8 gold. A few fights later I reach level 4 and learn the attack spell Sizz. A few more minutes later I return to Tantegel town and buy the copper sword for 180G for a nice attack upgrade. 20 minutes of grinding and I haven't saved once. The only way to properly save the game is to talk to the king. This is a game from 1986 after all, things can't be too simple. This version of the game does have a form of autosave and quicksave though. Now I'm prepared I start heading northwest from Tantegel. I end up finding a cave. This is a shrine of Erdrick. Like the caves I'll be exploring earlier, this one has no enemies. I could use a torch to fully light this place but I decide to save it and just follow the walls until I find some stairs to the next floor down. On this floor I find a headstone with a message from Erdrick. He says that to reach the island with the Dragonlord's castle I need 3 sacred artifacts. He left them with 3 great sages whose descendants should still have them. Once I leave I keep heading northwest and just outside of town I end up fighting my first Draki. At this level I kill it in 1 hit. The town is Galenholm, named after the bard Galen who founded it. Right next to the entrance is another locked building. There's a lot of new equipment here but I can't afford any of it. There is one guy who says that those who kidnapped Princess Gwaelin went to the east, so I get heading east, crossing 2 bridges and ignoring the poison swamp. I reach level 5 for my first fight after the second bridge and start heading north. I find my first Dracolite, which give a nice 20 gold after all previous enemies only giving single digit rewards. My next fight is against my first Prestidigitator. I don't even risk getting hit and sizz it to death. Continuing north I see a village hidden in the forest. This is Kol. One thing I learn is that some legendary sword isn't in this town from some other guy who happens to be looking for it. One guard says that there's a guy in the town Rimuldar who sells keys. There's a sparkle on the ground in the north side of the village. When I inspect it I find a fairy flute. After resting at the inn I pay 20G for an off-screen puff puff from a woman. This is a recurring thing still in the series today, but now they joke around with it rather than just do it straight. I inspect the drawers in the public bath, I'm not being weird, honest, and take some plain clothes. I'm not being weird, honest. I also find a seed of strength that permanently increases my strength stat. That's all to get here, but I want some better equipment, so it's grinding time again. A couple minutes later I reach level 6. The very next fight is my first against a scorpion. It's another one I just kill with magic right away. 7 more minutes later I reach level 7 and learn the snooze spell for putting enemies to sleep. 9 more minutes after that and I'm at level 8. Altogether it was about 20 minutes to get the 1000G I need for a suit of armour, giving me a nice 14 point increase to defense. I also sell off some of my outdated equipment, limited inventory space so there's no reason to keep them around. That's not all I wanted, so I do a little more. 6 minutes later I buy an iron axe for 560G, and it's 5 points stronger than my sword. Now I can continue. Slightly south of Col there's a forest between some mountains to the west. I follow the forest north to a building, the Rain Shrine. Inside there's just a single old man guarding a chest. He tells me that somewhere in the world is a harp that when played will attract beasts. If I can bring it to him, I can have the Staff of Rain that he's guarding. That sounds like he wants Galen's lyre, but the only place I haven't looked in Galenholm is locked. But that one guy in Col did tell me of the guy who sells keys in Rimuldar. First I backtrack to Tantegel to buy some medicinal herbs. I head north from Tantegel, then head west as soon as possible and south a little to a bridge. I keep heading south and on the way fight my first skeleton. Thanks to my good equipment they aren't a threat. When I reach this poison marsh, I go east past it into the Craggy Cave. It's really dark in here, so I use that torch I got from the king to light things up a little. Following the path from the entrance, at the forks I take a right 3 times and then a left. This takes me to some water. From there I follow the path around the top to find a chest with 341 gold coins. When I turn back I fight my first lunatic. It also dies in 2 hits and even misses its 1 attack. Killing it gets me to level 9, which teaches me the glow spell, which is a torch in magic form. I then go back to the water and take the southern path to the left. Following the path to the next set of forks I go up, right, then left. You know you've gone the right way when you pass some pillars. I then keep following the path as it takes me to some stairs to the next floor. The floor starts at a fork. I go right and fight my first droll drone. I'm kinda surprised this version of the game didn't add a bestiary considering the DS remakes of the 4th to 6th games added one. Along the top of this floor are 3 rooms. First is empty, but the second has a chest with 532G, and just as I enter the third, I end up fighting a Legendary man. This is a palette swap or the Prestidigitator. The chest in the third room has a now obsolete torch. I keep following the path and turn left, then at the next turn go up as far as I can. Then I turn right to find a chest with an iron shield inside to replace my leather shield. Right after, the Draki becomes the first enemy to get a third variant as I fight my first Drakima. These ones specialise in magic, which makes them the biggest threat in this cave. Good thing I got my first critical hit on it and killed it in 1. My next fight is against another palette swap, one of the Ghost, the Fightgeist. Returning to the fork and going left takes me to a chest with a warrior's ring. I'm actually full on items right now, you don't have much space in this game, so I throw away the leather shield. The ring has no actual use, it belonged to one of Erdrick's companions. I keep going left past this room and then down to the very bottom of the next path to find the final 2 treasures in here, a Seed of Strength and a Seed of Magic, which increases maximum MP. I use them and head on out and back to Tantegel to heal. South of Col I walk over this poison marsh that deals damage with every step to reach the Quagmire Cave. This is much simpler than the Craggy Cave. I go south until I hit the wall and then at the forks in the paths I choose to go east, south again, south again and west to reach the exit. Nothing interesting happens and I reach the stairs at the other end to exit the cave on another island. This is the southeast of Alfgard, Alfgard being the name of the continent this game takes place in. I go east a little and then south to find a town mostly surrounded by mountains. As I get close I have to fight my first Bewerewolf. The localizers on these games have a lot of fun with enemy names, especially in more recent games. I enter the town and it's Rimuldar. From the weapon shop I buy a 1500G steel broadsword for another 5 point increase in strength. I go through the woman's drawers right in front of her and take her Chimera Wing. She's the first NPC in this game to actually object to me barging into her house. The guy next door says that some believe Erdrick was sent to Alfgard from a realm above the clouds. In the building in the bottom left corner, an old woman says I would do best to visit a place simply known as the Sanctum. An old man says Erdrick wants to use a rainbow as a bridge to the island the Dragonlord's castle is on, and use the hidden doorway behind the throne in the castle. By walking around the outline of the town, I can reach another building in the top left corner. In one of the pots I find 117G, and in the one next to it is a Seed of Resilience that increases my defense. The old man sells magic keys for 14G each, so I buy until I have 6, at which he says I'm not allowed more than 6 keys at once. I use 2 of them to unlock the doors in the inn to find a Seed of Life, which increases maximum HP. I then go back and buy 2 more keys. There were some more things I wanted to buy, so I get to grinding outside town. Thankfully the enemies here give much more gold than before. The Bewerewolves alone give me 60 coins. After about 2 minutes I reach level 10 and learn the Fizzle spell, which prevents monsters from using their own magic. One new enemy I end up fighting is the Iron Scorpion, one scissor is enough to kill them. 5 minutes after that I reach level 11. About 13 to 14 minutes of grinding gets me the 3000G I need to buy some full plate armour. It's an 8 point defense increase over the iron armour. I'm not done grinding yet. I head further south of Rimuldar for some stronger enemies, starting with the Scarewolf, which gives a nice 52 experience and 80 gold. My next fight is against a gold golem. You can tell this thing is a beast with my 58 damage critical attack, the most damage I've done yet, doesn't kill it. It takes 2 more hits after that to die. I get a puny 6 experience but a massive 650G. The next new enemy is the Skeleton Scrapper. Not much to say about these. It's always fun with Dragon Quest games to point out the similarities of the Akira Toriyama design characters to his Dragon Ball characters, but the ones always come at the most is various heroes looking like Goku or Gohan, the DQ11 hero looking like number 17, or Angelo from 8 looking like Trunks. No one ever brings up the skeleton's resemblance to the pirate robot from the Red Ribbon Army arc. About 10 minutes of grinding gets me up to level 12, which teaches me the evac spell. This is useful because it warps me out of a dungeon. After resting at the inn, I cross the bridge and go even further south for the grind, near this building I'm not entering. This is where I fight my first Chimera with their 64 experience reward. It takes another 10 minutes of grinding to reach level 13, which teaches me Zoom. This will warp me back to Tantegel Castle, but it only works outside of dungeons. In all that time I've built up over 12,000 G. I zoom back to Tantegel and waste a magic key on the door in the inn that gets me nothing. The door in the top right corner, when unlocked, gives me access to a nun that sells me holy water for 12 G each. It temporarily prevents random battles with enemies much weaker than me. I go back into the castle and unlock the door on the left for 4 chests containing seeds of magic and agility, another magic key, and 345 G. The locked door in the top right corner leads to another key seller, but he charges almost double. Clinging to the wall outside on the right, I can travel down some stairs. They take me to an old man, one of the 3 sages. I steal a medicinal herb and a seed of life from his drawers and get the sunstone from the chest he was guarding. That's the first sacred artifact. Now I have my evac and zoom spells, I deposit my chimera wings at the item bank in town to make a bit of space. This is also where I put the warrior's ring earlier. I then return to Galenholm. I unlock the door to the big house. There are 3 chests in here containing a long obsolete copper sword, 630 G, and a torch. There's a locked door in this house leading to an old woman who just gives me another magic key. I walk out the back and talk to the old man guarding Galen's grave, who says that no one has ever gone in there and returned. But with those losers level 13, I go in. From the entrance I go right until I hit the wall, then all the way up and then left to 3 chests. They contain a seed of life, 535 G, and a magic key. I go back the way I came and go all the way down to find a door to unlock. The path through this door leads to stairs to the next floor. There are some more stairs right next to me here, but I ignore them. This floor is much more simple. Either path leads directly to the stairs in the bottom left corner. Here I start getting some new enemies, like this raving lunatic. I keep going up and right to another set of stairs. Just before I can go down them, I fight another ghost variant, the Spikegeist. I go down the stairs and on the next floor I just keep heading right to some stairs going up. This room contains Galen's tombstone and a chest with the Lyre of Ire inside. That's all in here, so I cast evac to leave. I return to the Rain Shrine and trade the Lyre of Ire to the sage for the chest containing the second artifact, the Staff of Rain. I then zoom back to Tantegel to deposit it and the Sunstone. Going to grind some more, so I head south of Galenholm again and even further south past the Craggy Cave to fight in this desert near a town. I won't be entering the town just yet, I just want to fight gold golems in the desert. About 10 to 12 minutes later I reach level 14. I fight for 7 more minutes until I've built up at least 246,000 G, then zoom back to Tantegel to deposit it at the bank just in case I die. I return to the desert I was grinding in but keep moving south. As I near a bridge I fight my first metal slime. These are rare enemies with low health but high defense, magic immunity and a high chance of running away. Killing them grants more experience than any other enemy in the game. This one runs away though. I cross the bridge and start heading north, meeting my first Cosmic Chimera. Depositing all that money was a good idea, since the Cosmic Chimera can deal around 25 damage to me. It blocks me from escaping and kills me. Dying puts me back at the king in Tantegel with half of the money I'm carrying gone. I get right back there and this time I get attacked by a dark skeleton. I don't even try fighting and just run. I ignore the first bridge and keep going north to the next one, which I cross. I then get attacked by another Cosmic Chimera while in the poison marsh. I lose half my HP trying to get away from it. A little south is a town surrounded by a wall. When I try to enter I get attacked by a mini-boss, the Golem. This guy is simple, I use the fairy flute I got back in Cold to put it to sleep. If it wakes up, I play it again, and if it doesn't, I attack. This way I only get hit once when it manages to get its turn in before I can play the flute. The Golem is actually the earliest image I remember seeing of a Dragon Quest game. It was one screenshot in a preview of Dragon Quest Swords on the Wii back in an early 2006 issue of Official Nintendo magazine. The relaunch, not the original previous Nintendo official magazine. I was very interested, yet I only just bought Dragon Quest Swords this year, and still haven't played it. When it dies I get a nice 2500 experience which brings me up to level 15 and I learn the Holy Protection spell. It's a holy water in spell form that lasts for 64 steps. I can now enter the town Cantlin. Now this is a town name I remember because it's where you start in Dragon Quest Builders. First I enter the bank in the top left corner and get all my money back. In the inn I find a seed of resilience in the drawers. A night Indian says that the armour Erdrick wore was passed down until it was owned by a guy named Magog. Another man says that Magog buried a chest with a great treasure beneath a tree behind his shop. In an empty room in the bottom right corner I find a seed of magic in the drawers. There's a shop requiring a magic key to get to that sells the 2 items I was saving money for. The fire blade for 9800 G which gives me 8 more strength, and the silver shield for 14,800 G, which adds 10 more to my defense. There's another house I need to use a key to enter, that contains another magic key in the drawer. The man inside says his family used to own a shop in the desert town Damdara run by his grandfather, Magog. But monsters destroy the town. That's the town I was grinding outside of. I now know where Erdrick's armour is, but I'm not ready for that place yet. I wonder what the old man behind this blue floor has to say and try walking to him. I was not expecting the floor that damages me to actually kill me. Good thing I already spent all my money before doing that. I return to the Quagmire Cave connecting Col and Rimuldar. This time I head right and then down towards the locked door in the bottom right corner. I can just see a woman in a room guarded by this green dragon. This is another simple mini-boss. Its attacks do between 10 and 15 damage to me and I just keep whacking it. With my 30 damage on average, it doesn't take long before its 150 HP is taken out. I talk to the woman and it's Princess Gwaelin. The Dragonlord had her kidnapped to marry her. If that's the case, then why has she been in this cave for 6 months? Was the green dragon hired to kidnap her but then got his own ideas and kept her for himself? Anyway, I have to carry her home. Well, I don't have to. I could just play the rest of the game carrying her. But I do have to do everything and that includes dropping her off home. Saving the princess at all is completely optional actually. I could have just left her to rot in the cave or even worse, just kill the dragon and then leave her there. My big fan in Tantegel is still content to follow me around even with Gwaelin in my arms, even into the end of the night. After that I take her home. After about 2 minutes of being carried, plus that one night with my stalker too I guess, Gwaelin is already madly in love with Aleph and gives me the princess's pledge, which tells me how many steps I am from Tantegel Castle, along with how much experience I need to my next level. I can talk to her again just to tell her I'm thinking of her, she loves that. Now it's time to actually enter Damdara, the town in the desert. It's a wreck, with poison water all over the place. Cosmic chimeras hang out here too. My extra level and better equipment since last time makes them much more manageable. I'm still not taking too many risks though, and quick saving after every battle. On the right side of town I have to walk in poison to each sparkle on the floor. Trying to inspect it has me attacked by a knight aberrant. I first cast Fizzle so it can't cast any spells. It can deal almost 30 damage with its normal attack and can sometimes get the first move in, so I have to keep my health topped up too. I only have to get 4 attacks in to kill it, it was just getting safe enough to use a turn on the attack. Once it's dead, I inspect the sparkle to find Erdrick's armour, the best armour in the game. Not just in defense points, it also reduces damage from spells by 25%, makes me immune to damage from poison floors, and heals 1 HP per step. It is very good. On the way out, green dragons are also regular enemies now. They have less health than the one guarding Gwaelin and only take 2 hits to kill. When I leave town I decide to grind some more. Just south of this town is the first skeleton soldier I fight, followed by my first Hocus Chimera. I also managed to kill my first metal slime for 775 experience, getting me to level 16. I hang around in this spot, which is where I fight my first knight errant too. This is the first enemy where I face its stronger variant first I think. 10 minutes into the grind, a Hocus Chimera gets me to level 17. This is when I learn mid-heal, a much better healing spell. It's not just poison tiles that I'm immune to. Any damage floor doesn't affect me now, so I can finally get to that old man in Cantlin. He tells me to search the spot that Tantegel Castle is 70 steps north and 40 west from. On my way there I fight my first werewolf. I cross the bridge I skipped on the way to Cantlin and into this huge field of poison tiles. I use the princess's pledge to line myself upright and search that spot for the final artifact, the Mark of Erdrick. I return to the bank to deposit the fairy flute and princess's pledge and withdraw the sunstone and staff of rain. I go to the spot south of Rimuldar I did a lot of grinding and finally enter the Sanctum there. There's a sage waiting for me who I give the sunstone and staff of rain to. He uses them and prays to the goddess which creates a chest containing the rainbow drop. Then northwest of Rimuldar is this peninsula. I use a rainbow drop here to create a bridge to the island containing the Dragonlord's castle. From the entrance I go left and up, fighting my first This Major. I follow the path to a throne and inspect the sparkle behind it to create a staircase going down. I unlock the door to the south and just follow the path to the fork where I take the upper path to some stairs. On this floor I follow the path west and then north. I fight my first blue dragon here who can still do quite a bit of damage to me. I then take the path going south to reach the next set of stairs. I go northwest from the stairs to find 2 chests, one with 501G and one with a medicinal herb. I then go east and then north, ignoring some stairs and instead taking the stairs in the top left corner of this floor. Going south a little leads to a set of ascending stairs I go up. Those stairs then lead to another set, and then another that takes me to a chest containing Erdrick's sword, the most powerful weapon in the game. With it I'm now equipped as best as I possibly can be. I then decide to evac and zoom to heal. Once I've healed and saved, I decide to grind some more. I set off for Damdara again, only for the game to crash on an encounter for some reason. Good thing I saved. 5 minutes south of Damdara and I reach level 18. 10 more minutes and I reach level 19 from a metal slime. This teaches me the final spell, Sizzle. It's stronger than Sizz, but not that useful. 9 minutes later I'm level 20, another 10 minutes and I'm level 21, 7 minutes after that I reach level 22. I decide it's time to clear out the rest of the Dragonlord's castle for treasures. Once again I go down the stairs behind the throne and then the same stairs on the next floor. From the stairs on the 3rd floor I end up facing my first stone golem. These I just run away from, their rewards just aren't worth the effort. I go down the same stairs as last time, same for the next floor. Here is where I take a different route. I head east, reaching level 23 from a blue dragon, and then north to another set of stairs. This room I just go right to the next stairs. This is the final room of the game. I can even see the Dragonlord on his throne. Here is the strongest knight variant, the Knight Abhorrent. On this floor I can use a magic key to get access to the final 9 treasures in the game. We have a waistband, a seed of magic, a medicinal herb, 422G, nothing, a magic key, nothing again, 502G, and a chimera wing. All that's left is the Dragonlord. So I either can zoom because I have one more grind to do. I probably could defeat the Dragonlord now, but of course I need to do everything, and that includes reaching the maximum level. 5 minutes south of Damdara and I reach level 24. Only 3 more minutes to reach level 25 thanks to a load of metal slime kills. 6 minutes to reach level 26, another 6 for level 27, 7 more to reach level 28, another 6 minutes to get to level 29, and then finally 8 more minutes to reach level 30, the maximum level. That combined with the equipment and having used every seed in the game has me as strong as I could possibly get. Not done just yet though, I want to max out my money too. So I get to farming just outside Damdara, hoping for some gold golems. After almost an hour, I've maxed out the money counter at 99,999G. I save at the king and set off to actually beat the game. The trek back to the final room and over to the Dragonlord is now really easy thanks to my level 30 stats. Still didn't fight a red dragon in here though, I think that's the only enemy I never faced. I get to the Dragonlord and talk to him. He offers Aleph half the world for joining him. Saying yes will lead to the Dragon Quest Builders timeline. Saying no starts the final fight. The Dragonlord's only threat is snooze, which just means I have to keep my HP above 100 while whacking away with my normal attack. He gets one snoozing on me, but mid-heal and does most of what he does while I'm asleep. He only has around 225 HP and my attacks do around 50 damage, so it only takes 5 hits to defeat him. The Dragonlord fades away only to reveal his true form. I believe this was the first time an RPG actually did the surprise second form to a final boss. Don't quote me on that though. This form can do almost 50 damage a turn with his fire breath, so now I have to be really careful and mid-heal whenever I end up anywhere near 100 HP. But I'm still doing 50 damage a turn and he has 300 HP, so it only takes a few hits to put him down. I pull the sphere of light from his grip and hold it up, banishing evil from the world. I end up outside the castle, where the poison has been replaced with flowers. I zoom back to Tantegel where the king is waiting for me. He congratulates Aleph and offers him the throne. Aleph actually speaks and turns down the offer, stating that if he's going to rule a country, it has to be one he founds himself. The king wishes Aleph luck as he turns to leave, but Princess Gwaelin shows up. She wants to join Aleph and find a new land with him. You are not allowed to turn her down. Aleph picks her up and they set off on their journey as the credits start. The first Dragon Quest is a very basic game, being from 1986 and one of the first of its kind, what with having very limited options for combat and only one party member. But the short length works in its favour. It's simple but also short enough that it doesn't get boring. I wouldn't call it one of the greatest RPGs ever or anything, but if you want an RPG but don't feel like committing to anything big and long, this is a good option. My perfect file here only took about 7 hours. If you aren't going for everything it'll be even quicker. You also have great music composed by a cunt, watch him only go and fucking die right before this video goes up, and the charm of Akira Toriyama's character designs. It's always good to finally try out the beginning of a series you've gotten really into recently.